It finally happened. Frank Reich was officially fired, let go today by the Indianapolis Colts. Something that's interesting that really caught my attention. The interim head coach is former Colts All-Pro center, Ring of Honor inductee, Jeff Saturday is the interim head coach. Very interesting move. Now, we were expecting Frank Reich to be fired. We didn't really expect it to happen now, though. I didn't really think it was going to happen until after the season. And Jim Irsay's tenure of being the owner of, a head coach was never fired mid-season. It was, 25 years Jim Irsay has owned the team now? A coach was never fired mid-season. Frank Reich is the first. And Jeff Saturday is going to step in. Looks like he's going to be the intern. Now, this is interesting because Jeff Saturday has zero coaching experience in college nor the NFL. So maybe you're bringing some kind of outside of the box play calling, outside of the box coaching, which this team really needs right now. I'm excited to have a former player like that with that kind of pedigree, within the franchise, within the organization to come back and be a lead. It seems like the Colts have been bringing guys like that back quite often now. Not quite often, but yeah, Reggie Wayne too. I was more so expecting Gus Bradley, John Fox, or maybe even Bubba Ventrone to take over for the interim head coach. So Frank Reich being fired, we all know that it wasn't a matter of if, it was a matter of when. And I don't think many expected it to happen mid-season. But it was needed. A change was needed because this team has shown zero life week in, week out. They've shown no discipline, no urge to win besides a very few select players. When this team's culture was meant to play really well and always be prepared, have great attitudes on and off the field. On the field, they didn't have a great attitude. They just didn't have the motivation. They just didn't seem to want to be there. Now, a guy like Jeff Saturday, having the kind of pedigree he does around these parts, the Colts kind of just took him from ESPN. We're going to see what happens. We're going to see if this team has a change in attitude, if we just see the difference on the field. Will they be more disciplined? Will they start to do the little things right? Now, I'm not saying that this team is going to do anything and be a playoff team. I certainly think they are not. I don't think that this football team is capable of winning more than 5 games. I know they're already at 3, but for how bad the offense is and has been, for being an offensive guru in Frank Reich, this offense has been historically bad. This offense hasn't been this bad since 1997, which was the year before we drafted Peyton Manning. The offense with Curtis Painter, Scott Tolzien, and Jacoby Brissett were all so much better than this offense this year. There's no discipline. The offensive line has allowed 35 sacks. 35 sacks in 8 games. In 8 games. 9 games, you allowed 35 sacks. That is horrible. You're asking Sam Ellinger to do a lot. And, some people, which I get this argument, they're going to be like, oh, Frank Reich never got his chance with his guy. Never got a chance to groom his own quarterback. He's always had to work with a new one every year. Before this year, Frank Reich made the playoffs 2 out of 3 years with Philip Rivers. And I don't remember who else. Did make the playoffs within 2 out of 3 years. Yeah, it was Andrew Luck was one of the years. But we haven't won a playoff game since 2018, 2019, when Andrew Luck retired. We haven't won the division since 2014. It's been nearly a decade since the Colts finished the season atop of the AFC South. We haven't got those caps. We haven't got those nice shirts. AFC South champs haven't gotten those in almost a decade. Yeah. And the Tennessee Titans game was one of the most important games for Frank Blewett. You know, last year got out coached by an interim head coach of the Raiders. Got out coached by another intern for the Jaguars. Jaguars was way more embarrassing. You know, the one game you had to win to get into the playoffs. You couldn't beat a Jaguars team. And then you would have expected this team to come out with some fierce, with a tick on the shoulder, with a chip on the shoulder to start the season. No, they came out flat, if not worse than last year. Then they lost to Jacksonville 24-0. Somehow, some way, the Colts did score 34 points against Jacksonville in 1 week. It was at home. Thank goodness it was that game because I was at that game. Thank goodness for that game being the best game of the year. But at the end of the day, a change was needed. It just wasn't expected to be made mid-season like this. Back to the point where I was getting at before with Frank Reich. A lot of people are going to say that Frank Reich never really got a shot with this guy, having to have a new quarterback every year. And I get that. I get that to a degree. But he stuck his neck out for Carson Wentz, which, you know, at the time was the best option. So I'm not terribly crapping on him for that. But he stuck his neck out for that, and he does need to take some responsibility. And he did. But we got tired of hearing the same thing after every press conference. Oh, I got out coached. Oh, we got to come out and play better. Oh, I have to get this team ready. We have to get the small details right. We're going to come back next week. We're this close to being that team. Frank Reich says that every single time he loses. Says that, especially this season, he said it every single time. And this team is not even close to, even remotely close to being a competitive team. Forget being close to the Super Bowl contender. We're not even close. And the thing is, this is going to be a slow rebuild process. This is going to be a slow rebuild. Slow turnaround. It's not going to be fast turnaround. You're paying so much money to the offensive line. She's playing terrible, by the way. 35 sacks on, as I mentioned earlier, one of the worst in the league. The highest paid position group in the NFL. You know, whatever. And they play like crap. They play like they're the highest paid, and they play like the worst position group in the NFL. Just this team always not being ready. You could tell at the locker room that he lost the team. The team wasn't for him anymore. They were pissed off. Nyheim Hines showed that. Nyheim Hines left. And for Chris Ballard, I expect him to be here for the rest of the season. After the season, I see him hitting the road too. You know, there's been this constant cycle of band-aiding these premium positions, band-aiding the most important positions such as quarterback, left tackle, wide receiver, corner. There comes a time where you have to just draft your guy going aggressive. Look, the Bears traded up for Justin Fields. He didn't turn out great right away, but now he's starting to blossom. Now Justin Fields is starting to take that leap. The Chiefs traded up for Patrick Mahomes. The Texans traded up for Deshaun Watson. If you want your guy, it has to come at a price that you're willing to, that it doesn't matter how high the price is. If he's a guy, if you really think he's a guy, you need to go and make that happen. And you're going to have to pay premium money to premium positions. Instead, you're paying premium money to non-premium positions. Chris Ballard has to go too. You know, I get it. How difficult it has to be trying to build a team and coach a team that you had a team built for a completely different quarterback that left the team. His body couldn't do it anymore. I get it. It's difficult to recover from that, but at the end of the day, this was like 2019. You know, it's 4 years later, and you're still recycling. You're still playing these recycled quarterbacks that no one else wants. The Chargers gave her a Phil Rivers. This offense has been nowhere near it has been. You know, the only year the Colts offense was great under Frank Reich was Andrew Luck. It was okay with Phil Rivers. It was okay with Carson Wentz. There were times with Carson Wentz where it looked almost as good as it did with Andrew Luck. Just wasn't as nearly as consistent. Matt Ryan, forget it. Jacoby Brissett, he is what he is. Scott Tolzien, guys, do you guys remember when everyone's going crazy about Chad Kelly, Philip Walker, PJ Walker? Yeah, where are they right now? Nowhere. Don't get why people went so crazy over them. And now you have a quarterback in Sam Ehlinger who has never had a career start before, never played a snap in the NFL besides the preseason. Comes in, and what do you expect him to do? When he has an offensive line that can't block anyone for their lives. They can't communicate. I know Braden Smith looked like he had a lot more sacks than he did. He did very poorly versus Matthew Judon. Matthew Judon did the same move twice and absolutely killed Braden Smith twice. Actually, the second time, it was kind of a miscommunication error on Matt Pryor. Matt Pryor had to take him and ultimately ran past Pryor's responsibility, so it really wasn't Braden Smith's fault that time. But nonetheless, Frank Reich is out. Frank Reich is officially out. And I say it is about damn time. Now, how do I feel about Jeff Saturday? Don't even know what kind of style he has for a coach. He's never coached. He has no experience in college or NFL ball. So, guess we'll see. Can't get any worse than it has been. It can't. So, let's see where this goes. So, I thank you guys for tuning in to the JDW Sports Talk Show, where your fans welcome. If you enjoyed this episode, make sure to like, subscribe, put the post notification bell on to send future videos. This is JDW Sports Talk Show. I'm signing off.